Drilling accurate holes in the oak plinths, part 30. Transferring the mounting holes from the templates to the oak plinths and fixing some of the parts in place. I had very little time to complete this job before the owner came to pick up the engines, but nevertheless the job went well. Drilling the Stuart Score engine oak plinth. A bit of a warning first, make sure that the pattern that you've carefully drilled with the holes in the right place is positioned precisely on the top of the oak plinth. Make sure the boards are not leaning like I show in this clip. They need to be perfectly vertical. A set square would probably be a good idea for this. Once you are 100% sure that the template is perfectly aligned to the plinth, then is the time to clamp them together. But always be aware, whilst you're clamping, things can move. I advise checking the job at least twice before you start drilling the holes. I'm using plenty of these strong spring clamps to hold the parts together. There is no margin of error really with this. You either get it right or it's wrong. I know that sounds a bit obvious, but after taking such a long time to make the templates, drill the templates, and then transfer the holes to the oak plinths, which are not cheap items, it is essential that you do not drill any of the holes in the wrong place. With my nervous tension at around 11, it's time to drill the holes in the oak plinths. For this job, I'm using a 1/8 of an inch diameter twist drill in a Proxxon Minimot motor tool. And the resin in the oak boards gives off quite a lot of smoke, so it's probably a good idea to open a window. Oak smoke is not a particularly unpleasant smell, but in this concentration I can't see it being too healthy. Obviously the video is running at a high speed to get through the job in a reasonable time. The drill bit got quite hot and generated a lot of smoke. There wasn't enough power in the Minimot drill to go through slowly, so I had to run the drill at a higher speed, hence the smoke. And the drill bit actually turned black with the resin from the oak board. It will probably clear once I drill some pieces of metal using this twist drill. You may be thinking, why am I using a 1/8 of an inch twist drill? It's quite simple. 1/8 is tapping size for 4BA. Most of the fixing bolts that are going to be screwed into the oak plinths are 4BA. They will cut their own thread in a 1/8 of an inch diameter hole. You don't need to thread the hole using a tap. Some of the bolts will need enlarging, such as the ones for the engine mounts. And for mounting the engines from the underside, I will need to enlarge some of the holes so I can get a socket in place to tighten the bolts, which are not long enough to go through the full thickness of the oak plinth. Originally, this Score engine was fitted on this piece of metal. The idea is that it catches some of the lubricating oil that drips from the engine's parts. Originally, this engine was mounted on a big, crudely made wooden block. I decided not to use that. In this clip, the hand pump and the water reservoir is ready to be mounted on the board. Drilling the Stuart 10H oak plinth. Here's a template for the Stuart 10H plant positioned in exactly the same way as shown previously. The oak plinths for the Stuart Score and the Stuart 10H are exactly the same size as each other. And exactly as shown in the previous drilling operation, quite a lot of smoke is being generated. And once the smoke had cleared, it smelt quite nice in the workshop. You will notice that the oak plinths are sat on bears. These are some pieces of mahogany. I have quite a bit of this stuff. You can use 2x1, it's the same idea, but this stuff's very flat. The video once again is running at a high speed, although really I was doing this job at quite an alarming rate because I was running out of time. 3 steam plants were completed and picked up by the owner last week, who seemed quite pleased with them. Next week's going to be a different story because I'm in hospital. I'd like to apologise for the fact there's going to be a bit of a lull in the videos. Normally I make them 6 days a week, but I won't be able to do that for a short while. Unfortunately, after getting over prostate cancer, I now have kidney cancer in my right kidney, which has been removed on Tuesday. I had to turn this oak plinth over to drill some holes from the underside, so I could use some long 4BA bolts to hold the 10H in place. But this is not a good idea This oak really grabs the drill bit and it will pull it through the hole if you let it. I used a piece of very high density rubber tubing on the drill bit to stop it from pulling through the hole. I think I'm going to make a selection of metal collars, and these will clamp to selected drill bits using various Allen grub screws to hold them in place. Here you can see the principle. I threaded the engine's mounting holes 4BA, so all I have to do is bolt the engine in position from underneath. And now it's top tip time. And this is a good one. I use a piece of paper scrunched up and pushed into the end of the socket to make sure that the bolt doesn't sit too far down in the socket. Then all I had to do was hold the engine in the correct position and bolt it to the oak plinth from underneath using the socket, which fitted into the enlarged part of the hole underneath that I've just shown me making. And that is it for this episode. Stay safe, stay healthy, thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. All being well, I should be able to finish this series before I go into the hospital on Tuesday for the surgery. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.